Guys, good morning and welcome to the podcast. My name is Andy. I'm the clinical lead here at ReadyCare, oversee all of the science publications, all that sort of stuff. So today we are talking about what is Ozempic. Now, unless you've been living under a rock for the last, 6-7 years, you'd have heard of this drug in some shape or form. So the names you'd have heard of this under would be Wegovy, Ozempic, semaglutide. They're a class of drug known as a GLP-1. So I'll explain what a GLP-1 is. We'll talk briefly about the potential benefits versus the side effects, which are significant by any stretch of the imagination. And then we will also just talk about how can we do something natural to elicit the same response. So there's something very straightforward, a tweak that you can make in your diet to literally not have the same effects as the drug, but to produce the real hormone. It's called a gut incretin. To produce that hormone that this drug is mimicking. So what is a GLP-1? A GLP-1, this Ozempic, this wonder drug, is a glucagon-like peptide agonist. So glucagon-like peptide is, as the name suggests, a peptide, which is just a hormone that your gut produces. It's called a gut incretin. So your gut produces this hormone, which then travels to the brain to tell you that you feel full. So GLP-1 makes you feel full. That's what it does. It's a mechanism of action behind this weight loss drug where you lose, a considerable amount of weight, maybe 20, 30 pounds over a year. So sounds great. You go, okay, you lost 20 or 30 pounds. Surely that makes you much healthier. Well, actually, no. If you look at the literature and the bone density scans and the muscle wastage that's associated with these drugs, there are a considerable list of side effects. And I'm just back from a cardiology conference in London. I was there. We were exhibitors there. So I was there Tuesday and Wednesday. I'm back maybe 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning last night. But I went to, I won't say who they were, but I went to one of the stands and I said, what are the kind of side effects of the drug, which was an injectable GLP-1 like this, but I won't name the brand. And the lady said, oh, the side effects are minimal and very rarely reported. And I said, no, I know the prevalence. I'm asking you, what are the side effects? And she was like, I mean, in rare cases, there are, adverse effects. Broadly speaking, those people aren't suitable for, and there are exemptions and contraindications of people who shouldn't use it. And they said, I know that, but I'm asking you, what are the side? Anyway, about 8 minutes in, after 4 different ways of saying it, you kind of went, oh, suicidal ideation, pancreatic cancer, muscle wastage, tendon issues, and you go, well, it's pretty significant. And of course, the studies that say that the drug is safe are paid for, massaged and published by the people making the drug. These are not independent studies, broadly speaking, although you could argue that when they're FDA approved, there was some degree of oversight to say whether they were safe or not. But there's an incredible statistic. The FDA, by the way, is the Food and Drug Administration, so they would oversee safety, at least in theory, for food and drugs before they go to market. So you go, okay, so all of the drugs they approve and all of the foods they approve, they're all safe and we can trust those. Maybe you can know the statistic that 25% of the drugs that they approve will be pulled off the market due to severe safety concerns within 12 months of their release date. So 1 in 4 drugs approved by the FDA as being safe will be pulled because it's causing death or some sort of severe side effect within 12 months of being approved. 1 in 4. It's not 1 in 1,000. Whoops, we made a mistake. There's a whole lot of questionable stuff going on if 1 in every 4 drugs that you put forward ends up causing a severe side effect. So, I mean, up to you whether you want to take that risk or not. So I know there's a doctor called Peter Attia who's done some really interesting work where he's looked at his patients who go on a GLP-1, inject themselves in the stomach every week because that's how you would administer this drug, and then looked at their bone density and their muscle density at the end of a kind of a 12 to 18 month period. One of the leading side effects and issues seems to be it causes your muscle wastage and damage to tendons as a result. Also, it increases risk of pancreatic cancer to varying degrees depending on which pharmaceutical industry sponsored study you read. But there are definitely significant side effects. Now, am I saying that absolutely everybody should avoid going on a GLP-1 at all costs? No. If you have a severe food addiction, you're 28 to 35 stone, you're on death's door, and without doing something just to stop you, and you weigh up the pros and cons, and the risks of not doing anything are almost certain death versus the risks of this are some muscle loss and potentially increased risk of cancer. Then maybe you weigh up those odds and you go, look, this is food addiction, and I can't see a quick stopgap to keep myself a little bit lower risk. Maybe it's for you, but do I think we should be prescribing it for 6-year-old children? Absolutely not. And this is not a made-up scenario. The current thinking is that maybe we should approve this for babies, for kids, which is wild to me. So let's talk about they're the kind of pros and cons. And look, it's not for me. I'm not medical. I'm a scientist, research scientist. It's not for me to say whether somebody should or shouldn't take a drug, and I don't want to give any medical advice, but I would advise you just to weigh up the pros and cons of these things and make an informed decision with your healthcare practitioner. That said, is there any other way of doing this in a healthy way that you don't necessarily have to take that risk and roll the dice with the side effects that will inevitably to some degree come down the line and manifest? Yeah, there really is. And it sounds crazy. Chicken, eggs, cheese, yogurt, meats. So the reason I say this is a calorie is not a calorie. And the idea that you eat less calories and then you'll be fine, and you can eat less than 2,000 calories by eating low calorie foods. If you do that, it's so difficult to do. The reason I say less calories is because in order to lose weight, you do need to eat less calories and be in a caloric deficit. If you say, I'm going to have the granola bar now because it's only 80 calories, your body says, okay, cool, sorry, just 80 calories. I'm starving 20 minutes later. So you go, all right, look, I'm going to pick up a croissant and a cappuccino on the way into work. That's another 300 calories, and you're hungry an hour and a half later, and you're going over to the shop going, sure, I'll just get a sandwich and I'll get a packet of crisps because I never full after the sandwich, and I might have a couple of jellies. Anyway, the day goes on like that, and you're eating crunchy nut cornflakes downstairs at 11 o'clock at night going, why am I still hungry? I've been eating all day. And you realize you've taken in 2,600 calories. Now, swap out those foods with breasts of chicken and boiled eggs. You will not, I promise you, get to 2,000 calories. You try your best and you'd be empty reaching at about 5 o'clock. You'll be done at about 7 o'clock. You will not want to eat again, because real food has a limit to how much you can eat. So if you ever look at these food eating contests, you'll never see anyone doing boiled eggs or steak or avocado eating contest. It's always hot dogs and fries, and it's always just processed crap that your body can keep eating, and ice cream and pizza and that sort of stuff. It's very difficult to go beyond a certain amount of protein intake. And the reason for that is Ozempic. It's GLP-1. No, Ozempic is a brand name, sorry. It's GLP-1. It's actual GLP-1. So when you eat protein, it causes relative of the three food groups, protein, carbs, and fat. So think like meat, eggs, cheese. You can get it in tofu. There are vegetarian sources of protein as well, of course. Nuts, seeds, all that sort of stuff. So, but the main and most highly bioavailable source of protein is without question animal-based foods, so meat, eggs, cheese. If you eat that food, your body produces natural glucagon-like peptide. So this is the thing that makes you feel full. So real food makes you feel full. And if you want to eat less calories, this is how we connect up the Ozempic action and how you can do that with foods. If you want to feel really full all the time, limit yourself to high protein foods. And that's in no way deleterious for your health. It's not going to be bad for you. Limit yourself, or at least prioritize protein. So we use a very PCF acronym for our patients, where we'll say prioritize protein, PP, cut carbs, CC, and then fill up on fat. So you don't want to eat way too much fat either, because it will slow down weight loss a little bit. So if you can prioritize protein, you're going to feel full almost all of the time. It's very difficult to overconsume protein. You're going to get that same mechanism of action that makes you feel full if you were to take that weight loss drug, with all of the unwanted side effects, without all the unwanted side effects, and you are going to be in a caloric deficit. If you eat real food, you will end up losing weight without the need to count calories, because you're pulling on that same mechanism of action, which is the Ozempic, the Wegovy, the semaglutide. What they do is they get your body to mimic the production of, or they mimic the action of your gut incretin hormones, your GLP-1 hormones, with something called a GLP-1 agonist, a glucagon-like peptide 1 agonist. Agonist just meaning that it's it's mimicking the action of something that exists in nature. So if you eat protein, prioritize protein, dial your carbs down, fill up on fat, you're going to get all of the effects of a Ozempic-like injection once a week going through your bloodstream all day, every day. And it's very, very difficult to overeat when you do that. So if you want to test this out, this theory out, do an experiment. The next time you're going to have, a day where you're going to eat whatever you want with your pizza and ice cream and chocolate and stuff like that. And do it for a 4 to 5 hour period and see how many calories you can take in. And then the next day, replicate that. If you were going to eat it anyway, by the way, I'm not trying to promote eating crappy foods, but if you're going to do it anyway, count up the calories, see how easy it is to get to 3,500, 4,000 calories. And then the next day, do it, but only with breasts of chicken, boiled eggs, cheese, and avocados. And see, can you even hit 70% of the calories? And you likely won't be able to, because real food optimizes and is made to be in line with your 2.4 million years of human evolution. Your body understands what to do with it. Sugar bypasses those hormonal neurological signaling, so you don't feel full. So hopefully, guys, that's given you some insight into what a GLP-1 is, what the mechanism of action is in terms of reducing appetite, and also how you can do it naturally and sidestep the risk of the side effects. Now, just to balance it off, again, this is not medical advice. It's not meant to guide you in any way, shape, or form, only to educate you so that you can make an informed decision with your primary health care practitioner, your doctor, your diabetic nurse, cardiologist, whoever it is, and weigh up the pros and cons. And at least to understand and be educated to the point that, there's a possibility I can do something similar here with diet by prioritizing protein a little bit and eating real food to optimize my hunger signals. Thanks so much for taking 10 minutes out to listen to me, guys. Have a good day, and I'll see you at the next one. Bye-bye.